Zeki with crib lighting. So let me quickly go over what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be looking at how to perfectly mount the crib lighting wall mounted controllers onto a new construction or a retrofit, and how to make sure that we place the references, or at least take the correct references, in the installation of these beautiful pieces of lighting controllers. What we have done is we have identified the double ganger switch that we're going to be replacing, and we have taken the switch assembly and we have opened the drywall in an ample amount, comfortably, to accommodate the working space that we're going to need to install or reinstall this conduit box that is going to be holding, that was holding our double ganger switch and now is going to be holding our crib lighting display. These boxes come in various formats, either metal or plastic for retrofits. Our solution is compatible with any one of those. And today we're going to be looking at doing an under mod installation. So for this reason, we have taken our under mod plate that we ship to the developers and installers along with our displays, and we have opened the area right around the stud that we're going to be referencing our lighting controller, and we have given it ample space. Make sure you open up the drywall comfortably large and also in a clean fashion. Clean work results in perfect installation. And we also have this mounting plate under the mod mounting plate that we ship with every single controller, so that you can accurately mount the display on the wall. To make it a perfect installation, we also ship jigs along with our controllers. You're going to need 2 standard DIN rails as a jig, which we ship with you, with the product to you, and we ship 4 screws that is going to be referencing the surface of the drywall to the surface of our mod plate. Besides this, you're going to need an electric drill that you're going to be using as a screwdriver, either a long Phillips 2 bit, or if you don't have a long bit, you might have short ones. We recommend you to use an extension for these bits. And our standard 6/32 conduit to faceplate mounting screws. We're also going to need 2 large wood screws or long wood screws to mount our conduit box to the stud. A loose screwdriver is always helpful, and here are the beautiful displays that we're going to be installing today. It is always good to have insulated screwdrivers handy as well, so that you can comfortably get in anywhere you like without feeling at risk. But safety first. Always work with the conduit box and the wires, live or not, when the power is off. So please go to your main breaker, turn off the power on these circuits, and then work on the circuits. Today I have turned the circuits off from the main panel breakers, and I have a temporary light here that I'm working with so that I can take this movie. So now that we're ready with a clean setup and extracted conduit box with the wires correctly terminated and secured, our protective earth is connected to the box for safety reasons, and we're ready for installation. First things first, we're going to be taking our 6/32 screws and start the installation with installing the under the mod plate onto the conduit box. We don't tighten it all the way so that we can place the other screws and back it up until you hear the click, and now you go forward so that we do not misthread anything, and do the installation in the best way possible. Back it up until you hear the click, and go forward and secure the screws. One last time. Go backward until you hear the click. Secure. Now that our under the mud plate or mud plate is secured and referenced correctly to the conduit box, we can continue with our conduit box mounting. I love to use jigs. Jigs make any installation or any fabrication consistent and repeatable. This means perfection and efficiency. So what we're going to do today is take the screws that we ship and mount these DIN rails onto this plate using the threaded holes, 8/32 threaded holes. Okay, so now that we have secured the DIN rail onto our mud plate, this means that the bottom of the DIN rail is coplanar with the surface of the mud plate. If I place my DIN rail back surface onto this drywall, this means that the mud plate is going to be coplanar with my sheetrock. Now, as we are ensuring the squaring of this, what we're going to do is we're going to reference this entire entrapment onto the stud. So this means that we're going to be screwing our conduit box onto the stud, and it is fixed and it's referenced permanently and it's not going anywhere. For this, we're going to be using two long, about 2-inch wood screws that can drive the conduit box through the holes located on the conduit box on to the stud. So let's just get going. Now that we have secured the DIN rail onto the mud plate, and we have installed or at least positioned the DIN rail, mud plate, and conduit box assembly all together inside the wall, I placed a temporary screw here just to hold on to the sheetrock so that everything stays together. If you want, you can measure the planarity or horizontal nature of this thing, if it's square or not, which I have done. Just a quick check on the scale right here. So we're doing just fine. Okay, so now is the time to drive my screws to set the conduit box onto the stud. For this, I'm going to be using two 2.5-inch long wood screws that can easily be driven into the studs. It is important that I use more than one, two, or preferably 3 screws. And it's important that I don't drive these screws parallel to each other, because the stability, the 3-dimensional stability of the structure is not going to be that great compared to the case where I drive screws one like this and the other like this. And I'm not sharing any planes. So this is a little trick so that you can consistently mount these conduit boxes onto the studs. Now, studs are not an exact science. They might be a little bit crooked. They might be a little bit misaligned, or they might not be completely square. So in this case, what I would recommend is use a translation layer between the stud and the side of the conduit box. So you can achieve this by placing a little piece of wood that is screwed onto the stud right before you mount the conduit box onto the stud. So let's get going. I think this is going to be too short. Well, luckily I've got the other Milwaukee extension. I try to use Milwaukee tools for just about everything. If Milwaukee offers it, I take it. They're just great tools. Makes the job a lot more fun when you're using the right tool and the high quality tool. The screw is broken. Well, this happens sometimes. Well, we broke the second screw. How about that? Now that we have securely mounted our mud plate onto the wall with the use of our jig, it is time to take the jig out. Okay. This is coming out slowly but surely. Should have used an Allen wrench. My Allen wrenches are inside, and this is a temporary solution, so I'm not worried about how to these screws because they're only the part of the jig, not the real installation. For as long as I can take these screws out of here, which is happening right now as we speak. Okay. Let's see how we ended up. I'm pretty happy with the performance. So this looks pretty square to me, and we have measured it with the level anyway, and everything looks just fine. So let's just take the last piece out. As you can see, we have formed some temporary holes on the drywall, but not to worry because we're going to be doing some drywall work anyway. So if you need to shimmy it in a little bit, I think that's just fine. There's always some tolerance, but this plate looks pretty flush to me. I cannot see any indents or extents in the way it's mounted, and we have firmly secured it onto the stud in a square fashion, so this is not going anywhere. So now what we need to do is fill out any areas that might be requiring some support. So this spackling is a fast drying for larger jobs, so this means that if you open this and start applying it, we should be done in a short period of time. So we're going to be taking our fast drying extra strong compound. There's nothing here that needs to get straightened out, but still we can just go over this one more time so that we straighten out or smooth out everything that you can see here. As I always say, a clean area and a clean surface is a must for perfect results. So I will be filling this up as much as I can, because at the end of the day, this is going to be supported by a mixture of this compound, or combination of this compound, and also the drywall tape that I'm going to be applying here. There we go. Now let this rest a little bit. Now comes the time for applying some drywall tape, self-adhesive. This is for extra strength, and this tape is, believe it or not, very, very lightweight and very thin. Clean work is always very important, I always say. After a few passes of spackling or drywall compound, or whatever you want to call it, this solution will look